panelists on the dais is to have a quick chat, a quick question answer session with them to understand where their priorities lie. I know business expansion, revenue, margins, profitability, everything is there. But what in terms of industry trends, what they see, they are at the very core of how the businesses are being conducted. They are the ones who are steering their businesses. But I would just like to understand from you how technology plays a part, how you are tackling AI, the promise that it makes, the challenges that it brings in. So I'll go one by one, rather. So my first question, sir. So can you just talk us about what are the few challenges that growing companies or startups, typically in the D2C space, face that are unique to the Indian context? So.
Yeah. I think from an Indian context, when we look at the whole ecosystem and something that I've gone through in my past experience and in the current experience as well, is we look at the business in D2C from a technical standpoint in two ways. One is your experience part of it, which is customer experience part of it, and second is the efficiency part of it, right? So while customer experience part of it can be solved with a lot of ready to deploy solutions, which talks about that how your experience on the website is, or if you have an application, how is it optimized, how is it operating. You do a lot of cross-selling, upselling applications and all that. But the real game comes in the efficiency part of it, which is typically once the order is placed, and if you're running a D2C brand, then how do you optimize it to your needs? And I think the biggest piece to face which D2C is struggling with for almost 10 years, and I'm using the word struggling because it's real, is cash on delivery, returns, RTOs, figuring out wrong addresses, because I think we are one of the brands who suffer a lot from this because our price to shipping cost ratio is significantly high. And I can also talk on behalf of a lot of the brands who have low ASPs, where these ratios are really screwed, and they can go up to 20-25% of the total MRP or ASP value. So there on the efficiency side of it, where it is post-order, I think those are the real challenges that we face, that once it is processed, whether it is a legit order, is it shipped by the right courier, I mean, if I've deployed a third-party logistics, whether I am able to balance out my loads properly, if there are customer escalations, are they being talked about in right time, because that's, I think, a big factor for the NPS, which eventually adds up to your repeat purchase, which is one of the gold mines for any D2C business if they're looking to grow, right? So I think these are few very top 30,000 view kind of things that we look at from an Indian context, because see, when you look at evolved markets like Europe or Americas, their prepaid, one, takes away a lot of stuff. Second, last mile connectivity in our places is that the addresses are Mata ke mandir ke piche.
Wayward, right?
Right? So like that, they are not pinpointed, they are not geo-tagged. So we do not have last mile connectivity like a UPS out there, right? So those are the things which immediately starts your worry towards your bottom lines, because all of this, everything from an experience and conversion standpoint is your top lines, right?
Yeah, true.
And the moment you come to efficiency part, it's the most important bottom line.
Bottom line, yeah.
And I think with emerging technology, a lot of the players coming into it, they are also looking at these very atomic pieces which look atomic, but are very significant when you are operating at scale, right? So these are the few things that I think are out there.
Sure, perfect. Thanks for that perspective, Mohit. If I may just extend that question and ask you about, is there a way the budding entrepreneurs who are going to start their business or probably in the very nascent stages of starting their business, is there something that they can do to prepare for these challenges, or is it something that when you feel the heat when you get there? So what's your take?
I think there are a few things that are like writing on the wall. When I talk about RTOs and returns, I think it's haunting everyone. So getting prepared for it from day one is something that every entrepreneur should be looking at it, because if I talk about in last 2-3 years, the way the world has changed, the economic headwinds that now I think every one of us is feeling, has changed the overall view how a D2C brand should be looking at it. Earlier we were trigger happy on the GMVs. Now I think the whole focus has come down. All eyes are on the bottom lines of every D2C brand that is out there. And as founders who are bootstrapped, I think at the end of the month, by the time 25th approaches, I think these MISs start circulating and you're just calculating in your head that, this is something that I need to do. So getting prepared for few things at an operational efficiency level from day one will help a lot. There are brands which are businesses who are doing businesses. For example, if you look at us, 𝐊𝐧𝐝𝐢 also is a brand, but at the same time, we also do retail third-party products, right? So we operate at a marketplace, as a marketplace. Yeah. So there we are a business doing business. And then there is a second category, which is a product company doing business, right? Yeah. And both the approaches have different efficiency metrics. That when it is business doing business, the volumes are going to be higher, your ASPs are going to be low, your retentions are going to be low. When you are a product company doing business, your retentions are key. Maybe you want to take a slight hit on your bottom line for now to build up that experience and then try to capitalize it maybe 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line. But I think operational efficiencies, I would leave it there, is something that every entrepreneur, the day that you start the business, it's not just about what on the top line we are hitting, is what is actually hitting the bank.
Perfect. Thanks for your take on that. I think there's a lot of takeaway in what you just said. And so anybody who was looking for free consulting, you have heard from the wise man's mouth now. So with that, I think Kapila, Richa, I would like to come to you because, and this has a background of what we were discussing back there in the panelists area. Can you just walk us through how big or how small do you think technology, the impact is? You think that technology can make to your business in your current state, when you're growing, when you're expanding? And where do you see yourself in terms of technology adoption, probably 3 to 5 years down the line?
Great question, Anshuman, but I just very rightly said when you asked me about the current phase and the next phase, because when you're running a business, every phase has a completely different working style and strategy that you have to operate on. So currently at the business stage that we are in, we are looking at technology, exploring more and more technology, definitely, because the kind of work when it comes to different departments, I will give you an example by saying, say, marketing, how content creation, is being substituted by probably graphic designers and content creators and things like that. When it comes to ops, a lot of data optimization can be replaced and, offloaded through AI. Product and, again, CRM, a lot of customer relations. So something like bot, which is replacing the actual human, connection. Because end of the day, as a D2C brand, customer interaction and customer connection is the most important thing. Right. So if you have like 1,000, for example, 1,000 customers with you, it's humanly impossible to create a connection, to create a loyalty with them, to reminding them, hi, we're here, and what is the next thing you're picking up from us. Yeah. So when it comes to things like that, and end of the day, we have a certain human resource capacity that we can operate on. So when you come with challenges like this, AI plays a very big role. So that's when, when we have human resources, for example, we want CRM people, we have 2, 3 representatives calling them. But when you have like a bot, which was recently introduced to me, and it was so good that when we were talking to the customer calling, it is so automated that, it is very as good as a real person talking to the customer. So, things like that at this level really helps in working on a bottom line, which he was also talking, because end of the day, the fixed cost is something that always haunts us. Yes, yeah. So, the more AI we can use and reduce the fixed cost and increase the efficiency of every department, I think that works. And obviously, because the innovation and the AI is growing so fast, and every time we look at out in the industry, there's something new which bounce us with something very surprising. So when we started with social media and then marketplaces, and now it's quick commerce, and I don't know what is next.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're constantly coping with the changing consumers in the market, and AI, be it, or anything else coming in, you need to cope up and meet the bottom line. And for that, whatever works best.
Perfect. Thank you so very much for that take. And I think it's really heartening to see founders like you talk about how you want to adopt AI and how AI is actually helping you solve the problems of day-to-day business. Perfect. So, Mr. Valia, can I come to you next? I have a question for you. Right. So,
Sure.
And the question is, what are your top 3 current challenges in omni-channel integration? And how much do you think can be resolved using solely the technology? So, like we talked about bots, is there
Right.
something that you would want to automate? You would want to set up a COE kind of a thing where processes run automated without human intervention?
Got
You
it.
may
So-
choose the elements of it.
Yeah,
to
in the
varying
omni-channel,
degrees.
you want to cover the offline space, right? I think that's the flavor of the season for most D2C companies. How do we go offline? And most of us, so offline is pretty much a very different monster, right? We are sitting in a D2C summit. Everybody has tried their hands in building the D2C brand online. I think everybody has a playbook by now, but offline is a different monster because you have to invest a very different sort of investment in terms of marketing. And I just don't mean branding, but straight away your margin stack changes. You are giving 40% to the distribution channel as against what you could earn on the D2C channel and so on, right? So from that perspective, I think technology for sure plays a huge role because in the D2C world, for example, me as a founder, I'm very used to having daily data of everything that I do, right? Whether it's on my Shopify store or my marketplace or quick commerce, I have daily reporting that's coming to me. Sometimes retail offline tends to become a black hole, right? And I think there are companies like Find, at least who are trying to create an end-to-end sort of ERP for retailers and for the brands. Did you get onboarded and you get the day-to-day reporting? Okay, what was the movement? What was the footfall? How many products have moved from your shelf? So I think from a reporting standpoint, that's the key factor where technology will change how we sort of leverage that market. And second is in terms of discovery, right? Today if I go on the street, I don't know which store to start from in terms of placing my product. Luckily, there are platforms available out there that actually recommend to me which are the stores that I should be placing the product in, right? Depending on the pin code, depending on the interest areas of my customer persona that I put in. So I think there are these AI-powered sort of platforms that are available that help me pinpoint that, okay, in this location is where you should start from, this is how we should spread out, this is the city and so on. And you leverage the online data for getting into offline, right? So I think that's largely how technology will completely change this space, I feel, going offline.
Perfect. It's wonderful to have that thought. So the next question I think I'm going to share between 2 panelists. Let's have the varied opinions that they might have. And my next question is to you, sir. When it comes to talent acquisition, talent per se as an entire part of the business, talent acquisition, talent training, retaining, and how ready, how skill ready is the talent that you get in India? And what are the major challenges you face and how you're going about to solve those questions, these challenges?
See, I mean, technologically, I mean, there's already an ecosystem that exists for talent management. You can either outsource it or you can, have a subscription-based software which can do things for you, including payroll, hiring process, forms, etc.
Right.
But specifically when you talk about skills, that is where human intervention comes in.
Yes.
Because I don't think so that any software can actually assess the skill of a person when you're trying to hire someone. So what we normally do is we try to structure our hiring process in a way that we get to understand the psyche behind the person, because I completely believe that skills can be adopted if you have the right mindset and if you have the right way of doing things. But hiring someone who is not fit for the job, maybe if the values are not aligned, or if I feel somewhere it is not aligned with the company, then we let go of those profiles. So in our case, what we normally do is we have different functions, because I belong to dairy category. So we have production, we have procurement, we have operations, supply chain. And for first 3 months, we try to put in the person in every role. And then we assess whether this person is a perfect fit for operations or production, or any of the other functions, because at times it gets difficult for us to assess during the interviews as well, that if the skill set is there or not. Of course, educational background matters to us, but at the same time we make sure that if we can help them adopt the right skill set for the specific job.
But from the hiring perspective, I mean, I understand that what you do is you kind of test the person
Exactly.
as to where he finds the best fit for himself. But how about finding the right candidate when it comes to not only having the skill set, but also that zeal and that enthusiasm that truly they see probably wants in their employees, or is necessary for furthering the goals of the company?
Right. So, it all depends on. So, what we normally do is we try to understand what background does the person have, and what were the reasons why they left the previous companies, what are their primary goals in their life, how they want to, how they see themselves in next 10 years, 15 years down the line. These are the specific things which we normally look into when we hire someone, because that's when you really understand that whether this person would stay with you for a longer time or not.
Exactly.
Because in our industry, it's very important for us to have someone being there with us for next 4, 5, 10 years. The very reason is industry is very competitive. There are a lot of players in the market, and each one of them have their own moats, and they don't really want to have people in their team who just keep on switching the roles in the industry itself. So if you specifically look in our industry, not a lot of people change roles in 5 to 10 years. They'd like to stick to one single company or one single brand. That's the reason behind it. And the core values which that person is carrying. For us, we always look for someone who is very empathetic towards farmers, very empathetic towards the ground level laborers, workers. We try to assess that through any previous experiences if they ever had. Very patient, or very I would say happy to engage with customers and understand their problems and try to solve them. So these are the basic skills which people normally just avoid or ignore while hiring, but these are the things which should be looked upon when you're hiring someone for a longer time.
Perfect. Now, I think that spells out the priorities that you have as an organization:
Right.
compassion for farmers,
Right.
ability to deal at the ground level, and so for the extension of this very question, I would turn to you, sir. So we have talked about talent acquisition, and he also mentioned that skill set is something that can be imbibed, it can be inculcated. But how about the retention? So employees who are joining your company today, and I'm an employee, so I'm not asking this question for myself, but generally employees also want to grow with the company. So they want to acquire new skill sets, probably niche skill sets. So how do you deal with that? And is there a way that we can, especially in the D2C growing company perspective, is there a way we can handle the churn of employees?
Before I answer the question, थोड़ा सा energy of the house काफ़ी कम है यार. मतलब I know lunch के बाद का session है, काफ़ी monotony भी हो गई है.
Can we have a round of coffee, please?
Come on, like देखिए यहाँ पे हम लोग as a founders हमें ऐसा लगता है कि हम आपको कुछ बता सकते हैं, but I think everybody is enlightened enough. They can, given chance, anybody can share 1 or 2 things in their knowledge in their life. But as founders or as speakers, अगर हम लोग को ये opportunity मिल रही है कि we can actually share our opinion from some of our experience, तो वो निकल के अंदर से तभी आएगा जब आप लोगों से वैसी एनर्जी हमें मिलेगी. If it's the energy is this, तो वो ऐसे ही आंसर मिलेंगे आपको. अगर एनर्जी इस लेवल पे होगी तो शायद इस लेवल पे हम आपको कुछ आंसर कर पाएंगे. तो आई सिंसियरली वांट, लाइक 5 मिनट और बचे हमारे सेशन के अंदर. आप लोगों ने पूरा इसको सुना है अटेंटिवली, बट आई जेन्युइनली वांट, इफ आई एम ट्राइंग टू अटेम्प्ट एन आंसर विच इज़ अ जेन्युइन क्वेश्चन, what people want. I think that's the question. If we are talking about employees or if we're talking about customer, it is all about how we become the solution of what people really want. Categorically, in terms of employees, we are talking about. So we have created a matrix, or I am happy to share that matrix with you. 3 चीज़ें होती है जो लोगों को चाहिए लाइफ के अंदर: नाम, काम और दाम, राइट? नाम मतलब रिकॉग्निशन चाहिए, काम मतलब एफिशिएंसी और वर्क चाहिए, और दाम मतलब उसका कंपनसेशन चाहिए. सबको तीनों ही चाहिए. बट आपको जब भी लोगों को इवैल्यूएट करना है तो आपको लोगों से बात करके ये समझना पड़ेगा कि उनके लिए प्रेफरेंस क्या है या फिर अलोकेशन ऑफ परसेंटेज क्या है. जिस जने का जो अलोकेशन ऑफ परसेंटेज आफ्टर हैविंग सम स्क्रीनिंग, उसके हिसाब से ही आपको सामने वाले को कन्वर्ट करने पे काम करना चाहिए. जो भी जना काम को लेके बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस्ड है तो दे आर रियली गुड इन टर्म्स ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव माइंडसेट. आप उनको SOPs बना के देंगे, प्रोसेसेस बना के देंगे, यू विल ऑलवेज सी दोज पीपल हु आर जेन्युइनली कमिटेड टू वर्क, दे विल रिमेन कमिटेड टू वर्क. लेवल 2, पीपल हु आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड फॉर रिकॉग्निशन. तो जो वो पावर टसल है, मतलब उनको वो चाहिए कि अगर मैं काम कर रहा हूँ तो उस काम के लिए मुझे रिकॉग्निशन भी चाहिए. तो वी रियली नीड टू क्रिएट दोज पीपल एंड प्रमोट दोज पीपल इनटू लीडरशिप पोजीशंस, बिकॉज वंस दे हैव द होल्ड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट और द डोमेन, they will also make sure they will lead that domain. And the third is the compensation based people. तो ये लोग बहुत जल्दी आएंगे और बहुत जल्दी जाएंगे. आपको जब स्पेसिफिकली पता है कि मेरे को इस तरह से ये काम निकलवाना है, उस टाइप के अंदर जस्ट पे द मनी, गेट द वर्क डन. If people want to leave, which is okay. If you want to fire them, that is also okay. But understanding that what sort of people you are looking forward to have in your organization with whom you can build a culture, that's a different game altogether. Personally, I think an enterprise is what create entrepreneurs. Come on, like what kind of work we are doing. We are not here to create machines and yes men people. That generation is done. If you want people's loyalty, you really need to make sure you make them allies rather than just making them understand कि भाई आप मेरे लिए ही काम करोगे. हमने अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हमारा मोटो लिखा हुआ है बड़ा बड़ा बाहर, एन एंटरप्राइज इज व्हाट क्रिएट एंटरप्रेन्योर्स. इफ यू आर नॉट हैविंग एंटरप्रेन्योरियल माइंडसेट, यू कैन नॉट वर्क विथ मी. वी आर ए स्मॉल कंपनी, chose to stay in Jaipur, chose to build ecosystem in Jaipur, but I'm very happy and proudly saying कि in last few years maybe 300-400 people work with me, but at least 15% of the people, closely 30-40 people created their own startups. So this is what sort of organizational culture from the entrepreneurial mindset we need to think and create. लाला मत बनिए. लाला बनेंगे तो लाला माइंडसेट के साथ में बिजनेस भी खत्म होगा, नेक्स्ट लाइन ऑफ लीडरशिप नहीं लेके आ पाएंगे. बड़े से बड़े फैमिली बिजनेसेस आते हैं, बेटे को फाउंडर बना दो, बिकॉज वो बच्चे वो बिजनेस ज्वाइन ही नहीं करना चाहते अब. तो you need to understand, if you really look forward to create a system or a startup or a business, you need to have people who can replace you. If you don't want yourself to be replaced, I don't even think you should run or you should create, call yourself a startup or a new age business. Just call yourself a business.
Perfect. That was so profound. That was so profound. And thank you so much for taking questions and enlightening all our attendees also as to what challenges you have faced, what is the right way to do business, and how they should go about it. So with that, I think we would like to close the panel discussion and on to the next.